It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a reaction discussion video from TwinsMainSage titled "Be the Opponent You'd Want to Face." Now, this video is actually suggested by one of you guys in the Discord community, so if you want to be able to submit your own suggestions for videos to discuss, go ahead and join with the link in the description. You can just go ahead and scroll down the rules and hit the knife so you can speak with the rest of us, whether it be DBD or otherwise. So let's go ahead and get into it. I actually have covered some TwinsMainSage videos in the past, and I understand that fundamentally we disagree on a lot of things when it comes to this game, but it's also very fascinating to listen to other perspectives about, you know, the same topic. So that's why we're here. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Genuine frustration during a chase against a Krasu, and it led to me not playing another Survivor match that night.
Yeah, so that's understandable. I mean, you know, if you play a lot of killer and then like you end up trying to play some Survivor, it does end up being pretty uninteresting. So that is understandable. Now, I think that TwinsMainSage is trying to sort of imply that the frustration is what caused well, I don't want to say the lack, but like I guess that caused them not to want to play another match or whatever have you, which is still understandable. I mean,
When I next played Killer, that frustration didn't carry over. I didn't hold it against anyone, but it definitely lingered. So in the following Killer games, I was particularly merciful and I had some very pleasant interactions with survivors. Naturally, the next day I went into the Survivor matches in a good mood. The moment I remember best was this Myers letting me play a full song of Bardic, which made me really happy. I carried that joy into my next Killer session when I spared a Dwight and gave him Hatch.
as you can see, like right off the bat, we're getting a lot of background information to kind of show you guys who are more familiar with my own content. You know, I pretty much am the exact opposite when it comes down to how I personally play the game. I'm not really interested in the whimsy, the, you know, the letting people escape stuff, the standing there looking at the sky things. Like, I'm just more interested in the actual gameplay itself of you know, and improving with my characters and my abilities. And that's why I prefaced it by saying before, like, you know, fundamental disagreement, I guess, on how we decide to play our own game. But that's why I like to also hear the other perspective, because, you know, it's completely different than what I do and what I play and what I listen to or whatever have you. So it is good to, you know, be able to hear those things, and you never know, you might learn something. So that's why we do it. But let's continue.
What can we take away from this? Well, I just wrote a whole video inspired by this very sequence of events. So buckle in and let's talk about how we treat each other in video games. Why be respectful?
So right off the bat, I think we need to hit the brakes right off the bat. Okay. We are talking about, and this is touching on to a bigger fundamental problem with DBD as a whole, but we're starting off the bat by saying we're trying to be quote unquote respectful to our opponents in a competitive place or a competitive experience. Right now, there, when you come down to this kind of discussion, we need to also make it clear what it means to be disrespectful in order for things to be respectful. Now, is being respectful in this context having to do with letting people escape and giving away free wins and things of that nature? I don't know. We probably will have to continue to listen to be able to know for sure. But at least for me, you know what I mean? I would say just general etiquette is usually a rematch when you're playing a fighting game, or a GG or something if there's an end game chat, you know, or whatever have you. Like, usually any game that has something that involves etiquette usually is like a GG, or hey, you know, let's do another rematch, let's run it back, or a message like, oh, good job, you know, you did a, you know, you, or hey, look, I'm learning this or something. Who knows?
Let's start with a common question I've often seen whenever I talk about how I play Dead by Daylight. Why? Why play nice? Why care what your opponent thinks? I'd like to say that I have some big moral reason about what we owe to each other as human beings.
So that right there is touching on to one of my fundamental disagreements with that sort of philosophy when playing with this game. And one philosophy that I disagree with entirely when it comes to the DVD space, because people will use this as a vehicle to then use that to carry around entitlement with how the game should be played, and they should be able to get this free advantage and get this free escape and get this free thing and get all this free like second chances and mercy just because they played badly. And that also just ends up leading to a whole mess of situations that we've already discussed previously in previous videos. And this right here, I think, is like a part of that fundamental problem. You know what I mean? Now, there isn't anything inherently wrong with trying to, engage in this kind of play style. But the problem is obviously that it ends up, if there's enough of it, there ends up leading to some people building up an entitlement for it and an expectation. And when it's not met, they throw a tantrum. So it's very ridiculous, in that sense. And that's, why one of the main reasons why I just fundamentally disagree with it entirely. However, taking a video game to that extent, I think, is a little bit dramatic in my perspective. I don't think that we need to take it all the way over there when it's just a video game. It's just a bunch of pixels. Like you're like, you play the game, you move on with your day. Like 9 times out of 10, you're not even gonna remember the match anyway. You're just gonna move on with your day and do something else. Like, you're not really gonna go, man, that one game against that one race. Like, no, like who if you're doing that, that's more of a bigger problem that has nothing to do with DBD. But maybe like your own mental stability needs, like, you might have to speak to someone, seek help, you know what I mean? Because that's a little bit strange that you're like holding on to a match like 6 hours later. Like, that's really strange. So that's so that's just my perspective on it. There's more important things in life than a bad match, I'm just saying.
But the truth is, I just feel bad when I'm rude to someone that's placing their trust in me, or who hasn't done anything to deserve it. I get.
So that right there is touching on another part, like this whole thing of trust in me and deserve it. Like, where did that part is where I'm like, where does that part come from? Like, we're keeping in mind that this is still a video game, right? Like, where did we go from, hey, I'm playing as a killer? What? Like who? Like, I'm just saying, right? Like, I don't think there's any Survivor player that's like, I trust this killer. He's got my best interest at heart. Like this is like, what? Like, you don't know this person across the screen, bro. Like what are we talking about? That I just think is a little strange. I'm like, I don't know, right? That I'm like, I don't know. I need more context, but. Now, like, deserving as well is like, what do you mean deserving? Like, now we're adding morality to a video game? Like I understand the idea of like, if somebody like BMs, right? Like, they'll teabag or point at a pallet or click or something, and then you just like WS or you hit them on hook or something, and you go, okay, cool. Like, like one person gives, one person takes, you give back, they take, you know what I mean? And then that's it. The exchange is complete. Like, you're done. But like, I just think that's crazy. That's why I'm like, that's why we're here though. I want to listen to different perspectives, but I'm just giving my take. I mean, I'm just a little confused.
This pit in my stomach and I feel nauseous. So I play nice to avoid that. Nice is a strong word. I still kill people. More accurately, I play with respect to my opponents. Respect in DBD. What is it? Why is it?
Okay, so
showing
this is what I want
respect
to know.
to strangers in this game might at first be mistaken for the infamous rulebook that so many players despise. Basically,
I wouldn't say it's mistaken because, like I've stated earlier, this is where it stems from. Like, a rule that, like, this is not just made like out of nowhere, like it just popped up in front of people's faces. Like, this is something that was created because there's players that want to play nice, and then because there's either so many of them or they keep facing similar players, they end up expecting that every killer should just give them free stuff, give them free escapes, give them free this, free that. Oh, I played badly, I should get another chance, and then it ends up leading to even more frustration from them, which then gets put onto those killer players that didn't even need that to happen. Like, that was completely unnecessary, because obviously these killer players are not mind readers. They're just trying to play the goddamn game and mind their own freaking business. And then they're getting like chewed out in the end game chat, which some people will take it to heart and of course and feel, offended or whatever have you. But I would imagine like they're probably going to end up getting harassed outside of the game too. Like there are cases that does occur as well. They end up getting like, you know, DM'd outside of just like the end game chat. They're looking for their profile. They're like trying to send them messages, or they even go even further than that. And it's like, you know, this is just a part of that. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say directly like this is just separate from that. I think that it still stems from there, and we need to kind of be aware of that, at least from how I'm seeing it.
There's this unwritten rule book where mostly survivors give killers a list of things they're not allowed to do, otherwise they're boring, lame, bad at the game, and a list of other undesirable traits. There are certainly entitled survivors that exist in this game, but I imagine there are way fewer than the DBD content space might suggest. So what is the difference between the DBD rulebook?
I mean, it's very hopeful thinking to say that there's way less than there is, when if we look on every public outlet for the, like, you know, for the DBD space, whether it be Twitter, Reddit, DBD forums, YouTube comments, whatever have you, you will see numerous, so many posts are dedicated to survivor entitlement, and they're expressing their entitlement through different posts and trying to beg and scream and cry for killer nerfs. Like this, I would argue disingenuous that to even imply that it could be way less than it is, because how could it possibly be that there's so many people that can say they've had the same experience, and almost there's at least double, if not triple, the amount of like people creating that kind of content because of how frequent it is. I think that it has to, like, that has to be said. I think that has to be well known that that is a common thing. I'd have to argue that. I mean, that I think that it is pretty common. I mean, we don't actually have like data to like in the graphs and statistics to be able to like prove that. Obviously, it's purely anecdotal, but it almost seems like that it is the case. I mean, it just seems, I don't know if that's just like by chance, but it just seems like a lot of people are able to post that and do post that and discuss that usually when this conversation gets brought up. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you know, take it with a grain of salt, of course, but that's just what I'm going off of. And I mean, I've even covered it plenty of times on my own videos. Like there's a lot of cases where that happens.
And DBD etiquette. The rulebook contains sweeping, overgeneralizing rules. Things like no meta perks, no tunneling, no camping, no playing specific killers. The rules shame and guilt you for playing in seemingly unpopular ways. Etiquette is not a rule enforced by your opponent, it's an olive branch extended by you. A choice to engage in behavior that might not give you a competitive advantage, made for the sake of your opponent's enjoyment. Showing etiquette is a form of respect.
Of course, okay, so you can argue that. I would say, like, when it comes down to etiquette, when it comes into like I've said even earlier with gaming and something like that, I would even say a fighting game, getting at least 2 matches in with your opponent is respect. You're like, you rematched a person, you at least give them the set, like as they call it. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, but I do know that like you at least rematched them to give them that respect for a run back. And I think after the 3rd one, then it's like, all right, like they head out. Now, when it comes down to DBD, I think etiquette is very few and far between. I really don't see it that often, personally. But take it with a grain of salt, of course, this is anecdotal. But I personally haven't seen it. However, maybe it is a thing, maybe it's more common than I would know.
Like a killer opting to chase the unhooker when a tunnel is available, or deciding to use your M2 ability when you can get the M1 easier.
Well, that I don't really think is etiquette. I just think that's you either A, trying to learn how to play the character better, or B, it's more fun. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say it's like etiquette, right? Like, you know, maybe like I guess you could argue that, I guess, if you really like want to stretch it, but like I would I don't know. I mean, it's even just more efficient as well, like, you know, because a lot of the time when you're using your ability, it's a lot faster than just M1ing, but you know, I don't know.
These decisions matter to me. Showing respect is an acknowledgement that you're going against a person who also wants to enjoy the game. I promise you, these actions are not isolated incidents. It's easier to see the toxicity and negativity of the game, but your choices in every trial have an impact. Do our actions matter? A large rift in this community comes from its asymmetry. survivor mains not understanding killer mains, and vice versa. And amongst all of these disagreements, I've definitely had times where I felt overwhelmingly alone, feeling like my experience is isolated and nobody else plays like me or wants to play like me. But that's just not true. We influence everyone we play with or against in every trial. Your choices can impact your opponent and their opponents and their opponents. Yes, this has been talked about before. The butterfly effect, being the change you want to see in the world.
I think, like I've said plenty of times, maybe I haven't yet, but I do think it's a little bit overly dramatic, I guess, to like bring a DVD all the way over here to like this philosophical, like, be the change you want to see in the world. Like, I'm like, dude, like it's still a video game at the end of the day, right? And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna, like, especially if you play killer, you're just gonna play the game. Like, you're gonna play the game normally, literally. You're just gonna try to attempt to get some kills and just do your thing, and they will become, the response is usually frustration from the survivors, and no matter how you play. And this is why I've said many times in the past to just play however the hell you want, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna make everyone happy. It's literally impossible. It's literally impossible. By you trying to appease what this person is saying to do, or what another person is saying to do, or another person is saying to do, you're just inevitably, someone's gonna get disappointed. And it's probably gonna be you, because you're like, yo, I'm not even having fun. I'm busy serving everyone else's fun. Where's my own fun? And we still have to really take the time out to separate. This is a freaking video game, dude. Like, we're just playing a game. Like, it doesn't have to go this deep. Like, it's really not that crazy to really go this far. When it's not, like, we're really taking it kind of far when it's literally you're just playing as fictional characters running around in a map. Like,
but it deserves a section here. Do you want to be the killer or the survivor that makes people walk away from the game frustrated and upset? Or do you want to be the reason that someone comes back to DBD? I give people hatch. I let survivors play their instruments. I engage in moments of whimsy because people have done that for me. And I'm hoping that these folks will continue that behavior. That's all this is.
Okay, you can go with that. You can be like, oh, I'm gonna spread positivity and I hope that they will. But the fact of the matter is that we really don't know if they will. We really don't know whether they will or will not. And at the end of the day, if you're sacrificing your own fun for the sake of a bunch of randoms you're never going to see again, that you're never going to speak to in your entire life, I would probably argue focus on your own fun, because at the end of the day, you're going to be with you at the end of every day. So focus on you, because why does it matter that this entitled Meg will randomly get a crawling match this match? Because then they're going to expect it the next game. And then say that person does. Then they're going to expect it the next game after that. And then they're just going to continue to do that until they find somebody who is, trying to just play the game normally. And then now they're going to get upset and start throwing insults and trying to basically harass this individual who's just playing the game normally. And unfortunately, this community is full of entitlement and is full of these kinds of people and kinds of players that are so used to the whimsy that they are so intoxicated, like, with this sort of fantasy land, that they will become violent because they just can't fathom the idea that people don't want to play exactly the same way that they do. And of course, I'm not speaking about this particular creator, but I'm saying that, like, this is a symptom of that, like, or I would rather say, like, sort of the chicken or the egg kind of thing, where because this is happening, therefore you might then breed this thing too. You know what I mean? And that could be possibly overly negative. You could argue that as well, but that's just from what I'm seeing within the community itself. I'm just kind of like, I've been keeping my, I don't know if we call it ear to the ground or whatever have you, head to the ground. I forgot the saying, but I've been keeping an eye on the community in that sense, and it has not improved at all. It has been the same sort of, metric here, basically, of just entitlement and anger and frustration and constant asking for killer nerfs. And for some reason, the killer community is just ignored and not cared about amongst most of the community. Kind of strange. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
It's hope that my actions are in some way making a flawed game better. Survivors/killers haven't been nice to me. I can already hear the comments being typed, but survivors/killers haven't been respectful to me. that sucks. It really does. It sucks that some of you have faced bully squads, toxic streamers, BMing, slurs, death threats, and anything else under the sun that bad eggs might throw at you. But you actually don't need someone else to be the first person to act when it comes to showing kindness or respect.
So, look, like, at least just from the response that I'm understanding here, you acknowledge that they're experiencing pretty much exactly everything that I've been stating. You know, in this video, of course. But like at the end of the day, it's like, but you should still do it. And it's like, yeah, but that's not exactly the response that they most likely want to hear. At least I would say. I mean, because then what benefit do they gain from reaching out and doing that kind of thing when they're just gonna end up still receiving the same exact thing again and again and again? And then obviously the community will gaslight them into thinking that you know, they should just be just like them and expect this type of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna end well. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, of course. If you want to watch the original video, it's linked in the description, of course. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Consider supporting with a like and a comment. And if you want to really support the channel, become a member with Patreon or YouTube, and you can have access to exclusive content and perks. And have your name read off at the end of every video. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for my members. I wanted to go ahead and thank all my members from Patreon: Crow King 101, YouTube members: Majora Jeff, T.O.N. Dyer, Zero Mocker, Christian, Crow Vader, Noxus, Jack, Dole, a whip. Let's go. Twitch. We also have Cake, Danica, Final Girl Bunny, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Zaz, Crow, PB Head, Mr. Morg, and Dole as well. I appreciate all you guys for supporting, and I will see you guys. If you want to become a member, go ahead and join, and I'll see you guys in the next one.